Hello everybody, welcome back to Flyout. My name is Will, and today we're going to be building a weird plane. It's a little concept image that I'm basing this off that I saw on X.com, also known as Twitter to those people who refuse to call it a worse name, like me. But yeah, it's a little reference image by an artist called Calibri, I think is how you say that, and I'll post a link to their Twitter account in the description below. But that image is this one, which I'll put on screen now for you. And as you can see, it's a very unique looking plane, and I just saw that, and it was one of those things where I was like, I'll give that a shot because it's outside of my normal comfort zone, and to be entirely honest, a lot of Flyout is outside my comfort zone at the moment. I don't know what it is about Flyout. I find it incredibly difficult to build anything that looks good in Flyout. I think this looks okay, but it's not amazing. I can't lie. I feel like there's certain things which really get me with the construction in this game. Not being able to split like faces and edges and like subdivide, I think, is very odd to me. Like, you just have a predetermined number of points and you just shape those to however you want. You can't add or remove points, and I think that's really beneficial in Sprocket, is like, you don't end up in a situation where, oh, actually there's a flat surface here, but because back there that was using 6 points, I now need to make 6 points perfectly in line with one another. Or, you know, the skin looks really weird on the aircraft because it like bends and contorts based on where the points are. I think just being able to like split that in Sprocket is something that I really take for granted. And I'm assuming there's technical limitations to that, and also like how the painting and stuff works just wouldn't work with like subdividing, etc. But it is something that I do miss from building in Sprocket, and yeah, it's something I really have to get used to if I really want to start building cool stuff. But yeah, man, these take so long. This was probably one of the longer builds in terms of the amount of time that I spent on it in Flyout, and it's just so much longer than a Sprocket build is, and yet the Sprocket builds they come out and I'm like, oh, that looks way cooler. Anyway, that's not really excuses for why I've not been building in Flyout. It's just, I have not had a lot of time, and frankly, it seems that most of you still want to see more Sprocket, so I'm sorry, people who like Flyout. That just seems to be the way it is right now. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. Wouldn't mind doing a little bit more Flyout, and there is now a new beta, which technically this update does. Sorry, this video does take part partly in that update. Typically, I started building because Flyout hadn't been updated in a very long time, and I didn't know when the next update would be. I start building, and then the update is the day after I finished building. The day after. The day before, I recorded flying the thing around and the post-commentary thing. So there you go. That's... That's a bit of sod's law right there. Of course, the update comes out the moment that I am done with the first video where I'm building anything in Flyout in a long time. But that does mean there's a bunch of new stuff in the Flyout like early access update. There is, for instance, ducted fans. There's new settings for helicopter blades. You can now test jet engines within the editor, I think, are a couple of the things that you can do. So if there's any ideas that you know are possible now thanks to this new update, or just ideas that you want to see me do in general, then feel free to leave those in the comment section below, or alternatively you can join my Discord. That's the word, my Discord, which is also in the description below, and there is a suggestions channel, not the server suggestions channel, just the suggestions channel, where you can leave suggestions for stuff that you want me to build. It's not just tanks, it's planes too, that's fine, and fingers crossed we'll have enough time to do another community creations video fairly soon, so if you want to enter that is also in the Discord. You can't put those in the comment section. You can try. I'd be impressed if you succeed, but I probably won't add them if in the comment section below. I can't lie. Not to sound dismissive, it's just, yeah, that's not where I look. But yeah, back to the plane, just a little bit here. As I mentioned earlier, this plane is a bit of an exit from my comfort area, if that's a good way to put it. This is a reverse sweep plane with two jet engines stacked on top of each other. Now, there's a couple problems with that. Basically, reverse sweep wings act very differently to normal sweep wings or even straight leading edge wings, which are kind of everything I've built so far fits into one of those two categories, so I've got experience in that. I didn't really know how reverse sweep wings would perform. I knew they're slightly funky, like when you stall with a reverse sweep wing, like the stall happens first in a different part of the wing, something along those lines. I am not an aerodynamicist. I am not a designer of aircraft in any way, shape, or form. I have no idea. I am literally just making this up. The only previous experience I had was from KSP, where the aerodynamics are notably simpler than they are in Flyout, and you are limited a little bit more by what you can build, which means you're slightly less likely to make catastrophically awful mistakes, I think is a good way to put it. But yeah, fingers crossed, in the end, this isn't the worst thing that you've ever seen. This also just took a lot of tweaking in general to make it look weird. Like, at the moment, I don't know if you agree with me when I say this, but I think this iteration that you're seeing on the screen right now is rather ugly. It just feels somewhat disproportionate, like almost like a duck. I ended up massively reshaping the fuselage, part of which you're seeing right now. And part of which was just generally making the thing smaller and narrower. It was just a bit chunky. I don't know how to describe it. And we do a little bit. We do a little bit of work, just merging the cockpit bit of the fuselage in with the main part of the fuselage a little bit better, but that is done off camera because I was out last night, and yeah, I let's just say when I got home I wasn't feeling like recording, but I did want to just get a little bit of work on this thing done. Yeah. Wing time. So this is where things get extra weird. Like, it's weird to have two engines stacked on top of each other in the first place. It's not the weirdest thing. The English Electric Lightning did it. Now, the English Electric Lightning is a very weird plane, but somehow the English Electric Lightning, I said English Electric Lightning too many times in this sentence, somehow is less of a weird plane than this thing. And you'll shortly see why once we start getting the main section of the wings on. This is just kind of the connecting piece that connects the fuselage and the wings together. Now, something a couple of you may have noticed is I am actually using the pre-built twin engine adapter. I thought it would save me a little bit of hassle and time. It's possibly the worst idea I've ever had. I can't lie. Maybe I should have gone back and changed it, but turns out it doesn't like getting painted, so we end up with basically just a flat color livery. I really wanted to have this one be the first one where I do a proper livery and stuff, but yeah, no, that didn't go particularly well this time. I think this is about the point in building it where I started to really realize what wasn't feeling right, and I think I do fix it shortly. And to me, I think it was that the nose goes down as much on top as it goes up on the bottom, if you know what I mean. And most aircraft noses don't really tend to do that. Like, the up is a lot more sharp of a slope down to the nose than the bottom is, if that makes sense. Like, if you go and you Google, I want to say MiG-29 has an example of this, and just look at a side-on perspective of the aircraft, you can see that the top is a steeper angle than the bottom towards the main part of the fuselage. I think that makes sense, and that was something that wasn't there when I started building this thing, so fingers crossed I picked out the right thing, and shortly it'll start looking a little bit more sensible to you. It's definitely about the point where it started feeling more sensible to me, so yeah, hopefully that's not just completely made up inside of my head. Yeah. But what else is there to say about the plane? I don't know. Surely things. haven't put the guns on yet, for instance. I put a 20mm revolving cannon on this thing. It doesn't fire particularly quickly, but, you know, it's nice to have a 20mm revolving cannon. That's just a good piece of life advice. It is good to have a 20mm revolving cannon. There we go. That's me bringing the nose down. Do you agree? Does that look better? I think it does. I think it looks a lot better. That was like a massive improvement to this thing as a whole. Wow, I am so strongly... Should we just go on one of those absolutely massive tangents? I think that's probably what we should do. So why don't we just talk for a moment about cats? You know, that's always a good topic, right? That goes well on the internet. Have any of you anyone else? Do you have cats, and do they go through this incredible, consistent cycle of inconsistency with the amount of food that they eat? Is it just my cat, or is it everybody's cat? She will genuinely eat endless amounts of food on the weeks that she is hungry, and then there will be weeks. So this is an off week at the moment. This is a week where she isn't eating anything at all. We will give her any amount of food and she will leave all of it, like the vast majority of it. She'll take just enough bites not to starve to death, and then she'll leave the rest, so I need to clean out the bowl like every 2 or 3 days. And then that'll go on for about a week and a half. The cat's woken up. The cat's just gotten out of bed, because I'm talking about her. She knows. But she'll go through these cycles of like eating us out of our house and home and then not eating anything, so I've got to clean her bowl all the time. And that's incredibly annoying. I wish she would just eat one consistent amount of food so that I could kind of just put the same amount in the bowl every single time, rather than having to play a guessing game of how much she's actually going to eat and how much she's going to leave, because cleaning out cat bowls, not a particularly pleasant experience. Maybe I should have just got a dog. Obviously I'm joking. I do appreciate the cat. I am very glad that she is here, but yeah, sometimes they are properly annoying. That has absolutely nothing to do with planes, but fingers crossed at least one or two of you could relate to that conversation. I don't think there are a huge amount of reverse sweep fighter jets that have actually been built in the world. I've seen a lot of like fighter jet concepts that are out of like Russia with reverse swept wings. So there's like the Su-47 Bearcat that had reverse swept wings. I think they built one of those, but they didn't ever mass produce those. And I'm assuming there is a good reason for that. However, I do not know it. So if anybody actually knows, then do let me know, because it would be interesting to see why that is. And I've got it up on Google here. And one thing that they say is yaw instability, which is interesting. Yeah, so it has a problem with yawing sideways uncontrollably, which is actually something that happens in flying around this thing later. And stall characteristics. Unstable in a stall. That happens. Yep, that definitely happens. And an aeroelastic consequence on the lift force of the forward swept wings. I have no idea what that means. Positive feedback loop that increases the angle of incidence at the tip, increasing lift and inducing further deflection, resulting in yet more lift and additional changes in the wing shape. I don't think that would be modelled inside Flyout, but if it is modelled inside Flyout, that would explain part of how this thing flies. This is a lot of foreshadowing right now. You will notice very shortly that maybe I am not the best at building functional aircraft, because it is somewhat unstable, and maybe that's not me. Maybe that's the concept. Maybe it's maybe I'm actually good at building planes this whole time, and it was just me being lied to by big reverse swept wings telling me that things should be easier than they actually are because the concept is a good one. Is this why people don't do it? I'm assuming it is. What are we talking about, honestly? But yeah, we're nearing completion on the actual general structure of the aircraft. Obviously, I've not put any landing gear on, and there's a couple more bits of smoothening and adjusting that I need to do, as well as just making sure that it can actually fly at least to a acceptable level before I do the flying out of the plane. Get it? I just name dropped the game. But yeah, I'll leave you now, and we will go back to the past, technically, where I have finished the design, and we give it a quick flight, and we go shoot some stuff down, because that's always fun, isn't it? Okay, and here is the finished product. So I did do a little bit more work on this, you can probably tell. I mean, for one, it's not white anymore, it's now like a very dark navy blue. I was going to put a full livery on this thing, but I was having problems with this part back here. It just doesn't seem to want to paint properly, and there might be ways around it, but yeah, it's not particularly good for painting. So I've left it flat color. I decided to make it black as if it's some kind of stealth plane. Maybe it could have some roundels and some numbers in the... I don't know. But yeah, this is our jet, and I haven't got doors and stuff on it because, well, I'm all out of time, basically. But we're going to try and get this thing flying. This might not be the easiest thing in the world because this center of lift, center of mass is not exactly where you would want it to be. I can't lie. So it might be a little unstable. And we are also in a new beta version of the game. This is 0.22. Last time we were in 0.2193, I think. So there's a couple new buttons. For instance, we can turn off lighting, it looks like, which is kind of useful for stuff like getting the smoothness of these parts better. But yeah, I think we'll leave that on for now. And as you can see, look, I made it all smooth between the cockpit and the body, which is like the main change I made. I think this thing looks cool. It's very weird. Fingers crossed you like it as well. Let's just fly it. Why not? Okay, we're here at the desert airstrip here. Now, I haven't put any air-to-air missiles on this thing just yet. I was going to put two, one on either wingtip, but we do have an internal 20mm cannon, which in theory should work. It doesn't seem to be happy though. Why is that? Okay, I worked it out. We'd accidentally set the gun to 21mm. Now it actually fires. However, it's a little slow firing, but that's fine. We have, obviously, two vertically stacked engines. Now, there's a bunch of new engine controls in this update. I've not played around with them just yet, because this was actually built in the old version before this one came out. But fingers crossed, these engines still perform pretty well, and it looks like they are a-okay. We should be able to lift off the ground fairly quickly. Now, yeah, as you can see, there's a bit of a stability problem going on, so we might need to invest in some fly-by-wire, honestly, because it's quite capable of turning. As you can see, it is quite maneuverable, and in the negative, yeah, quite maneuverable still. It doesn't seem to want to stall out, though. It's actually quite favourable in that sense, and as you can see, really, really quick, even if we only have a minute of fuel at this kind of a speed. We can drop down the throttle, we get a little bit more. I think maybe I need to add some more fuel reserves on this thing. It's a little bit light on the old fuel reserves, but yeah, it flies. It's definitely maneuvering. So I think what I'll do, I'll put on some missiles, I'll put on a little bit of extra fuel so we can have maybe more like 10 minutes of fuel at max throttle. That would be ideal. And maybe I'll add a little bit of detailing to the livery. Let's get some numbers on here and stuff, you know? Why not? Okay, there we go. Very quick, lazy livery put on. And we got a couple of AIM 9s, and fingers crossed, quite a lot more fuel in this thing. It is, yeah, 4.77 tons of fuel. Not a huge amount, but fingers crossed. We got like a couple minutes, so we can at least go shoot down some target drones with this thing. But therein lies the problem when you've got two massive afterburning jet engines on a light fighter. We're going to take off with a little bit less throttle this time, and fingers crossed we can get into the air with a tad more fuel. At the moment, at 50%, we've got like an hour of fuel, which isn't too bad. So hopefully once we're actually burning this engine to full capabilities, we also have like more than 1 minute and 5 seconds fuel. That'd be nice. It takes a little while to get the nose of this thing off the ground, it would seem. Can we even do it? Yeah, okay. So previously, we were quite agile. The change in weight distribution means that we are no longer particularly agile. Okay, there's stuff we can do to fix that. Let's have a look, see what we can change here, because this ain't agile enough for a plane like this. We're going to need a little bit more than that. Okay, we have a little bit more agility going on now. As you can see, it's not quite as much as we originally had, but that kind of makes sense given that we're carrying like 3 extra tons of fuel. So, yeah, that adds up. What we're going to do is, I reckon, I don't know if it's playing ball. Yeah, it really does not like mouse aim, this thing. But we can try for a bit of a speed run here on the deck, get an idea of our surface level speed, and then we'll spawn in some target drones. We got 2 missiles, so fingers crossed we can get 2 kills, and maybe even a gun run. Why not? And yeah, I don't know really what else to do with this thing. I'd like to play around with the new stuff as well in an update video soon-ish. So if you have any ideas what I can build using the new stuff, then do let me know. This is going to be incredibly difficult to fly on the deck. We need to maybe set like that. There we go. Okay, maybe not. It seems that the AI cannot fly this plane. What is it doing? What on earth is going on? Right. That's not quite what I had in mind when I said autopilot. I can't entirely lie. I guess landing gear out. What on earth? Okay, I believe I have overcome my slight skill issue, and I believe that this is now flying in a at least somewhat controllable way. I was able to use F2 mode, which is the mouse aim mode, so fingers crossed we can finally actually shoot something down with this thing. Okay, fingers crossed this is the final iteration. I've added more weight up front that won't be adjusted when the fuel load changes, which does mean the agility when we are very, very low speed is not going to be particularly good. But fingers crossed, it's okay once we get up to higher speeds and start draining off a little bit of this fuel. But, yeah. As you can see, it's definitely not flipping out right now because it can barely turn. Maybe this isn't the best format for an aircraft. Maybe I'm just a bad plane builder. Who knows? Okay, we are coming up behind our first target drone. They've kind of nicely lined up here on one another, so we might just about be able to get 2 in a very short period of time. I'm going to launch at about 1k on that one. There we go. And fingers crossed that gets him. Yep, no problem. And this guy is in a pretty good spot as well. Let's get around. Okay, we're just going to have to launch. I don't have much faith in that, but it found its way. It did it. It did it. And now, as you can see, as we're burning off some fuel and we've launched our weapons, we are a little bit more agile. Have we got a good chance at a gun run on this last target drone? Maybe. My poor pilot is absolutely on the brink of passing out right now. Just casually forcing him to endure like 10 Gs for an extended period of time. He'll be fine, I'm sure. Okay, the yaw definitely needs a little bit of work because it is extremely unsteady, but we might be able to get a gun run here with the 20mm. Just gotta... No. Nowhere near. I have literally no idea where those shots went. We'll try again, and then if we fail, I think I'll just go take it and land it, because that was quite embarrassing. Okay, we are sneaking up behind the drone here, and absolutely going crazy. Whoa, okay. Apparently, it's better to just have no input than the mouse aim input sometimes. Come on. Oh, I feel like I should have hit him with some of those. Right, we're giving up. We're just going home. I feel cheated there. I think I hit him. I'm pretty sure that should have hit him. Yeah, I'm assuming the game knows better than I do, but oh well. Is it going to be possible to land this thing? I don't know. Maybe it's going to be easy. Maybe it'll be insanely tricky, and I'm leaning towards the latter. And knowing my typical landing skills, we know how that's going to go. Okay, we are leading in for a landing here. Now, we don't have flaps on this thing, because I did have them at first, but they didn't really like working very well. Instead, they just kind of added a lot of pitch, perhaps because of the way that the reverse sweep on the wings works. So, I don't know. I didn't decide to keep them because they just weren't working as flaps, so we may stall at quite the high speed here. I'm just going to try and bring us in about this speed. I don't really want to drop too much more. And fingers crossed, did I remember to put brakes on this thing? I think I did, if I'm not mistaken. We've still not stalled, which I'm actually impressed by. I thought we would have. And there we go. That's the rear wheels down. And I think the front wheel's down as well. The brakes are not very good if I did assign them. We definitely have brakes. You can tell by the... maybe you can't tell. Okay. We're going to stop, I think. I think we're going to stop before the end of the runway, which means this has been one of the more successful landings of one of the planes I built. And look at that target drone mocking me in the distance there. What is going on with the side of the plane? That is strange. There's some weird decal stuff going on. How have I not noticed that until right now? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, if you enjoyed this one, please leave a like, comment, and or subscribe. If you'd like to see a little bit more using this fuselage or whatever, then do let me know. But I think next time I'm in Flyout, it's probably going to be playing around with some of the new stuff in the beta. So let me know what you want me to see, what you want to see me try to build. There we go. We got there in the end. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye-bye. And as always, a huge thank you to YouTube super supporters Cody Fox, Rosselsbocken, Marlon Gwecken, Shtug3, Terra, and patrons Chemjam135, Cody In, DigiPete's, Gavunga, Matin129, Sad Cat, Lastage11, Rosselsbocken, Ryan Brody, Stug3, The Kinesian Emperor, Worthsickle, and Zeit Wolverine. And a reminder to those people, please cancel your Patreon subscriptions. It's going very soon.